that this is what Coup to call this one. I'm coming. Now listen. So, 16 senior officers detained over alleged coup plots against Tinubu. Military authorities are continuing investigation into a foiled coup attempt against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. And Premium Times has obtained exclusive details on 16 officers currently detained in connection with the plots. According to security sources, 14 of the detained officers are from the Nigerian Army, with 2 others from the Navy and Air Force. Now, the Army personnel, 12 are from the Infantry Corps, 1 from the Signal Corps, and 1 from the Ordnance Corps. The ranks of those in custody include a Brigadier General, a Colonel, 4 Lieutenant Colonels, 5 Majors, 2 Captains, and a Lieutenant. The Navy officer is a Lieutenant Commander, while the Air Force officer holds the rank of Squadron Leader. Authorities have not issued a formal statement on the alleged plots, offering only a denial that it was linked to the scaled down Independence Day celebrations on October. Now listen to the names. Key officers identified are Brigadier General Musa Abubakar Sadiq, believed to be the alleged ringleader. He is from Nasarawa State and a member of NDA Regular Course 44. He was previously detained in 2024 over alleged diversion of relief materials and military equipment. Gang. Second, Colonel M.A. Maji from Niger State and a member of the 47 Regular Course is suspected of playing a strategic planning role. He formerly commanded the 19th Battalion in Ondo State and served under Operation Delta Save. Other officers include Lieutenant Colonel S. Bapa, Signals Corps, Bauchi State, Lieutenant Colonel A.A. Hayatu, Infantry, Kaduna State, Lieutenant Colonel M. Aimakura, Infantry, Nasarawa State. Now, the majors that was involved: A.J. Ibrahim, M.M. Jida, M.A. Usman, D. Yusuf, and I. Dauda. Now, the captains that was involved: Ibrahim Bello and A.A. Yusuf. Lieutenants that were involved: S.S. Felix, Lieutenant Commander D.B. Abdullahi, which is from Navy, and Squadron Leader S.B. Adamu, Air Force. Sources say interrogations are ongoing and details of alleged roles and motives have not yet been made public. The Defense Headquarters and the Presidency have remained silent on this. Okay, so now, you see, it is very interesting how this is downplayed by the Presidency. The Presidency is doing everything possible to downplay it. I want to tell you this thing. If there was one Igbo person's name in this list, just one, I just needed just one. If there was one Igbo person's name in this list would have been published by Tinubu by himself, or they would have printed the list on the billboard, and they would. So Sowore just spoke exactly what he know about the coup that was plotted to happen against Tinubu, and in fact he confirmed that coup started, the plot started since 2024, and he explained exactly how these things began. Now listen to him.
From protest, and let's talk about a recent development that came, even though it's pretty much at the level of the shadows, and that's the rumor of a coup plot that has been at the center of conversations. We recently saw Mr. President even overhaul his service chiefs. I mean, with all of these recent developments, what's your take on Sowore?
Well, as you are aware, it's not a rumor, but there's a coup. There was a coup plot, and people were rounded up. And the revolution came from Sahara reporters. The newspaper I found it, and their reaction. It's fake news. They sponsored their trolls. They were attacking everybody who revealed this. But we knew a long time ago that this was the situation. I think they started planning the coup since 2024, and I think it was followed in 2025.
They started, I mean, from the intel that you have, they started the planning from 2024.
Yes. Some of the sources that I spoke to told me that part of the reason the crackdown was very hard on the bad governance was because they knew around that time that some people were planning a coup. And I think some arrests of military officers were made around that period too. So if you notice during bad governance, their major grasp was that, there was Russian flags on the street and this would promote coup. And it was a time that all these Sahel countries had been taken over by military jackboots. So they started that around 2024, from what I heard. So, but I think maybe they didn't strike then, and then they kept monitoring some of them. A lot of them are disgruntled officers in the Nigerian army who felt that things are not going the way they should. But let me make it very clear, I can never support military rule again. I've seen the worst military rule in my lifetime. Nobody can come and tell me, fellow Nigeria, we know things are wrong. These military guys that are planning to take over, that are planning coup, will be worse than the civilians we have. What we should do, and I've said this, anybody who loves Nigeria, it's all of us to take on the system at once, have a revolution. You get another government in uniform, all these army generals we're seeing, colonels, and all that, they're the reason why there's insecurity in the country. Some of the most undisciplined set of people you can imagine in the country, corrupt, they own real estate in Abuja. They're the ones, some of them supply weapons to terrorists and bandits. So I'm never going to support a military takeover of power. I'm just giving you information that I have.
All right. Just before I let you know, do you think that this recent overhaul of the security chiefs by Mr. President would improve the security situation in the country? A simple answer.
If he was serious, and you can accuse me of bias, he should have fired Ebetokun. Then I would know that he wants to improve the security architecture. I think one military guy said today that even in all of this, he should go and overhaul the police. That tells you that this is a joke.
We know you are arrested, and then you are detained, and then released, and then held again, and now you're free. Can you just quickly walk us through, what happened during that period?
Well, as you guys are aware, I was part of. I helped organize the Nnamdi Kanu Now protests in Abuja and across many cities in the country. And prior to that, we did inform the police that there were protests and we're going to Aso Rock. They even invited us to a meeting the Friday before. I went to the FCT command. They said, no, you're not the one we want to meet with. While we're meeting with them, while that was happening, I left their office and only to get to town a few hours later while we're mobilizing from market to markets in Abuja, street to street, that they had rushed to court to obtain an order of court against us. Initially, they wanted the judge to ban the protest altogether, but I think the judge was smart enough to avoid that pitfall. And then they went into the chambers of the judge to get a different order, which says we cannot march around sensitive areas. But it was specifically stated in the Schedule 3 of the order that we must be served on Friday. They made no effort to serve us. They put it on the internet that we've been stopped. They created a lot of misleading information in the public. So, but eventually, on the day of the protest, we did come out and we were brutally attacked. So I left the initial scene of the protest in front of Transcorp. And we successfully mobilized and had the protests around Abuja. Markets were shut down from Abuja to Akure and the southeast, parts of Port Harcourt, Kano. All over, it was a successful protest. And I think that's what got them upset, that they couldn't frustrate the protest. So some of our colleagues were arrested on that Monday. They were tortured. And I went to the SCT command, met with them, and told them I was the organizer of the protest. That they could arrest me if they want to leave all these innocent persons. They were 13 in number at that point. But they said, no, they didn't even say anything about it, because then they promised that they will release them on bail. Only for us to get outside of the FCT command after we met with them. Once the SP Barao, Ilias came to me and took a walk with me. He was saying, can you move people out of here? That was the 6th place we visited on the day of the protest. And next, he mobilized some mobile policemen and started attacking us right in front of the FCT command, and we left. So we discovered that they took them to Kuje. They informed their lawyers. First, they took them to a place they call Abattoir, which is what used to be former SARS torture chamber in Abuja, still there. And then next day, drove them to Kuje. We ran to Kuje. Before we got there, the judge had denied them bail because he said the lawyer that showed up said their original lawyer, Barrister Maxwell Okora, was on his way. And the judge just summarily denied them bail and remanded them in prison. So we came back to town. Next day was Kano's trial. I also had a trial at the Federal High Court, but the judge didn't show up. So I went and tried to enter into the courtroom where Kano's trial was taking place. Then they didn't let me in. So I hung around and met with him briefly. First time I met him since 2019, and uploaded the meeting on my social media handles. Next thing, I was standing in front of the court and the police officer came by and said the commissioner would like to see me. So I followed him and I met the DCP CID. And he said, we'd like to know more about the protest. I said, but this is weird. I was here. He said, you don't need me. I came here the other day. I talked to you, say you are releasing, and the next I said, this is very sad that this is what the police has become. And they started to get rude with me, and he invited this same CSP, Yasu, Morale, to go and interrogate me. So I got upstairs, he presented some paper, I said, you should write statement. I don't write statement. I'm not going to write any statement. There's no crime here. And because I knew they had planned it. Next, they brought a vehicle and they took me to their detention center, same abattoir.
The same
abattoir? They detained me overnight. Yes. They detained me overnight, and they took me to Kuje Magistrate Court, where they took the other guys. And when we arrived there, they brought the other guys, and they charged me along with them. And we took a plea, we were granted bail. Where the bail was granted, I saw Barao, this same CSP Barao, and Adama, who is the chief legal officer of the FCT command, go into the judge's chamber. So I followed them. As I was about to follow them, Barao had seized my phone from one of my assistants, and I had to collect my phone back from him. While we were having the argument, they told the judge to leave, that there's going to be a crisis, they can't guarantee his safety. But before he left, they got him to sign my remand order. Well, at that point, we had already concluded our bail conditions, because there were simple bail conditions. The Jade Onju and our bail people were there, so there was kind of liberal.
So what was just to cut to it, what was now the reason, the main, even though we know that there is,
the charges for disturbance of public peace, and they claimed in the order that we violated court order by embarking on the protest. But what I know about law, I'm not a lawyer, is that if you go to a court to seek an order, and there's a violation of that court order, it's called contempt. You go and file your form 48 and 49 to commit the person to prison. But they never did, because they know that they won't have any valid grounds in court. So they took laws into their hand and claimed that our arraignment was based on a violation of court order, that we were trying to enter into one of the restricted areas. I never heard of it before, that a constitutionally restricted area exists in Nigeria where you can't protest.
All right, just before we go on this break, please, talking about the restricted, quote unquote restricted areas that they accused you of breaching during the protest. Were you aware of it? Prior to the protest of these restricted areas?
That's what I was telling you. We're supposed to have been served with the court order. They never served us. All right. So it is only when you serve that the order can be activated. They never did.
All right. Now, I just want to know, how you feel, because I know a while ago you did protest in support of the welfare of police officers. You went out on the street, you galvanized, and you of course led that march. And fast forward weeks after, is some men in this will I call it field that you protested for, that still picked you up and locked you up, and they were of course used to quote unquote to sort of stifle that protest. For you as a convener of multiple protests, does this dampen your morale, that the same set of people you came out for sometime in recent past are the same set of people you're having issues with now?
My commitment to human rights, my commitment to the welfare of workers, or the respect for the dignity of man, has nothing to do with who the person is. Even for my worst enemies, I will fight. I knew the police is an irresponsible organization. I know it has a lot of bad eggs from the top to the bottom. But I also realized that they, retired and serving policemen, need better conditions of service. That those who are retired need gratuity and pensions that shows that they serve the country. So I wasn't expecting any response or favor from the police. You're talking about this latest one. My hand was broken by police the week after I protested on their behalf. They came to FID 7 in the morning. My hand was injured by a CSP. The same policeman I fought for, they invaded my cell, beat me up, ruffled me up. This time around too, they ruffled me up. They forced me into a car after they forcibly obtained a remand order that I couldn't meet my bail condition. Chased the judge away. I had to stay in Kuje prison for 3 nights. Just because they were trying to get back at me. And part of the reason they were trying to get back at me is because I fought for the welfare of police. Over 29,000 policemen were promoted because we had that protest called the police protest. But I don't do anything or any of these things, in expectation that somebody will be kind to me.
Given what you have experienced, in the hands of the police, will you still organize a protest? In favor of policemen in the country again?
I would do protests for police, prison warders. I don't protest for anybody, but you probably, if you go on my Facebook page today, we're planning a protest for contract staffers, people who have made staff for contracts for 20 years. So protest is something that has to do with our fundamental rights. It's how we reset, our society. Is the way we use our conscience to fight power.
But what do you have to say? What do you have to say to people who feel that protests don't have effect as it used to be anymore? We've seen multiple protests in recent times happen, yet those challenges still persist. Do you think that the approach should be changed?
Those who say so are saying so because they don't know how much go. They don't let people know the kind of changes that happen when the protest happens. That's part of the strategy of the state, to make people feel like protest is useless. I just told you now, and I'm sure you didn't know that over 29,000 policemen who had not been promoted from 8 years were promoted because of the protest. Even the guy whose video I uploaded to my Facebook page, who said was paid 2 million naira as gratuity, eventually got 6 million. Now, there's a major debate to create a police pension board, which should give them better conditions of service. There are conversations that are happening because of protests.
Fresh details have surfaced indicating that the Nigerian military has arrested an additional 15 officers of various rank in connection with an alleged coup plot against the federal government, raising the total number of detained officers to over 40. According to Vanguard, the latest arrest followed revelations made during the interrogation of the initial 16 officers earlier taken into custody. Investigations reportedly uncovered details of the roles the new suspects were expected to play in what had been described as a grand plot. Security agencies are said to scrutinize and communication exchanges among the suspects, a process that made investigation continue. Finding review that the first batch of arrested officers comprises 1 brigadier general and 1 colonel, 4 lieutenant colonies, 5 majors, 2 captains, 1 lieutenant commander, 1 second leader. The officer identified include Brigadier General Musa Abubakar Siddiq, Nasarawa 44th Regular Corps, Colonel M.A. Majid, Niger 47 Corps, Lieutenant Colonel Babsa Bauchi 56 Corps, Lieutenant Colonel A.A. Hayatu, Kaduna 56 Corps, Lieutenant Colonel Danjima, Plateau 56 Corps, Lieutenant Colonel M. Al-Makura, Nasarawa 56 Corps, 9 Major A.G. Ibrahim Gombe 56 Corps, Major M.M. Jida, Katsina 56 Corps, Major N.A. Usman, FCT 60th Corps, Major D. Yusuf, Gombe 59th Corps, Major I. Dajo, Jigawa, DSSC 38, Major Captain I. Bello, DSSC 43, Captain A.A. Yusuf, Lieutenant S.S. Felix, DSSC, Lieutenant Commander D.B. Abdullahi, Navy Squadron Leader S.B. Aduma Air Force. Sources disclose that most of the detained personnel belong to the Infantry Signal and Ordnance Corps. Meanwhile, investigators have reportedly traced alleged sums of money to suspected networks behind the alleged coup. A joint operation involving the Financial Intelligence and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) and other agencies allegedly linked the funds to a former governor who also served as a minister of state. Insiders said the arrest officers have been cooperating with investigators, giving detailed account of their recruitment process and assigned duties. Although the defense headquarters has yet to make an official statement, top military sources said the issue is being handled discreetly to avoid unnecessary tensions until investigations are concluded. Thanks for stopping by.